It's okay.
And we're really happy to have them in the gallery to discuss Nancy's show Leg Up, which we're surrounded by, and her overall body of work.
So we've known each other for quite a number of years now, since we both at Pratt, and when you, up until fairly recently, your work was very abstract and didn't really have any figurative elements.
It always had figurative elements, but they were kind of like more submerged. I mean, I always had ballasts actually at Pratt too, but they were more like, people would come into the studio and they'd be like, you know, this looks kind of phallic, and I'd be like, yeah, but like, you know, that's kind of, but then it was much more, it wasn't as obvious or wasn't as, but there was some like bird-like figures that I was playing with, and then I played around with, I'd always had the ambition like to be more an abstract artist. The thing I didn't like about figurative, because I always associated figurative art with like super hyper realistic art, which I didn't really like, but there's some other, but then, you know, I became more influenced by people who I saw, there's a lot of artists out there who are working figurative, but they're not like doing that game of, you know, oh, this looks like a beautiful velvet, or this looks like, here's this perfect finger, like, or hand, or whatever, you know, like this kind of, I hated that kind of work where it was just, it seemed to be about, like, showing off, like, how talented you were, or how perfect something was. I was really repelled by that, and so I really like abstraction as, like, this place of freedom. But I think I found many of the things that I had wanted in abstraction, I found them in figuration. Or actually, I think I like stories. I like the narrative, and I think but I also have some abstract elements in it. It's like, I like it when things are thrown in that don't necessarily make sense. So I think I'm very much influenced by abstraction, but now it's honestly, that's a lot more to it. Narrative, storytelling, and subjectivity, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, and I guess on an abstract level, the paintings themselves can be seen as not just narrative in the level of what it depicts, but narrative for the story of its own creation. A lot of these paintings seem to have evidence of other paintings underneath them, and maybe other paintings underneath that.
That's true, especially for like the ones that are on panel, because you know, like the way I come to, I would arrive at an abstract painting was I would just keep working until at one point it would feel done. But then I would have a painting and I'd feel like, okay, there's the painting, and I would be satisfied with it. And then, you know, I'd be working more in the studio, and then there's that painting, and then I'd be like, but let me try to do this other thing. And then all of a sudden it would become another painting, and so that just kept going on. So a lot of the times, like, especially the ones that are oil paintings on panel that has like that kind of history to it, I think there's a greater variety of different ways I came to paintings this way. Some of them have a lot more drawing involved in it, so it is pretty much, you know, like, there's some that are more sketchier. Some of them are built up like that in a way where, you know, I would have arrived to like what the painting was through the whole process. And then some, like, I had this weird idea, especially that one right there. Like, I had some weird idea that I put it on the canvas, and then that I just kind of, that's what happened, like, ends up being in there. So it's like more like trying to bring out some kind of, try to see something out there that I saw in my mind's eye. And then some of them are arrived at, you know, like I'll be playing with an image, and then it'll become something, and it'll become something else. So I've done both ways.
And there's a good variety in the show here of works that are done in both varieties. You have a very much thicker, almost encaustic looking pieces there, which have, you know, very thick paint on them. And you have, particularly these three ones with the double figures over there, there's much thinner paint, much more immediate kind of thought.
Yeah.
That's the impression that I get from it.
Right. And these three, I mean, those two are totally, they're acrylic, and this is acrylic and oil. So there's, like, I think sometimes, like, the difference in medium is also, there's different ideas that are going actually, like how do we
Is there anything in particular about the acrylic that made you want to use it for those particular paintings, or did those? What was the process like for using that instead of the oil?
It was like, going to, I just wanted to experiment like more. I wanted to, I decided, and I also I was very attracted to acrylics because of the fluorescence, because at that point I hadn't learned, there are fluorescents that you can buy in oils, Soho paint, and it's like, not their Soho paint, but before that I had thought of, that to play with the fluorescent colors, I would need to, and I think the fluorescents are actually better in acrylic anyways, but I like both. Like I don't like it when you feel like pigeonholed into, okay, this is your style, so you're a thick painter person, and or this is I feel like an artist to me or a painter is like a writer. Like you could be writing about pigeons one day or motorcycles the next day, and you can't be like, your thing is the word. So to be like, oh well, you're a sonnet poet, or whatever. Like I don't feel like these kind of definitions can be constricting in a way that makes no sense. Like you don't have to be this one thing. You could, please.
Oh, well, since they do seem to be so much about narrative, I was wondering if you could talk about where your stories and your characters, or if I could call them that, the subjects, where it all comes from, how that, what you can say about those stories and characters.
Okay, they're imaginative mostly. I mean, the motif of the dick flowers, originally, there was a weird, this was last year, I was watching Netflix when I was really mad. Not good, right? I watched one thing, but I was watching Nanette's special, and she's Hannah Gatsby, and she's a character, and so she has this kind of dark comedy, and she has this background in art history, and so she I don't necessarily agree 100% with what she's saying, but it just kind of was this weirdest image, is that she was talking about the history of painting, of being men just painting women their flesh faces for their dick flowers. And so I like how that image of dick flowers was just very, I just found it funny and really weird, and I was really attracted to what is that like, and what is it, and all the she has a very obviously an agenda in terms of what she's saying, but I just was interested in different ways you can think about that, how women maybe treat men like they're dick flowers, or how the complexity of that, where she didn't really intend for it to be she just meant it to be these men are just exploiting women, but I just thought of it in terms of the complexity of relationships in general. So there's a lot of different narratives happening, and so I think some of it has to do with they're not exactly a personal. It's not exactly biographical, or it's just more things I've imagined. So when you play with those, kind of some of it has to do with fantasy, some of it has to do with that kind of thing.
Those three with each one has a double figure in it, and those seem to be the most narratively dense pieces.
Yeah, there's obviously kind of a story happening there, and those are
I get kind of a bit of a Francis Bacon vibe from that. Maybe it's the coloration that's saying he used quite a bit of that same green color. And the triptych.
Yeah. Oh, the triptych idea. Maybe.
The way in which they're hung on the wall. Maybe it's just that
No, I was thinking that as well. I mean, like, I really feel it's because of the way that you're telling the story with the figures is kind of the way that I see it as Bacon-esque. Like, there's a great triptych at the Greentown right now. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's
The crucifixion?
yeah, it's like unbelievable. It's red and orange, and the figures are meat hanging, and it's but there's like these. There's a way you could try to tell a very creepy story with the characters. You're telling a different story, obviously.
Right, but I love the dark aspect. Like maybe in here there's a little bit tinge of like some kind of dark thing that might. I mean, it's more like not necessarily dark, but I do like that weird sexual dark vibe that Francis Bacon is like the hero.
Yeah. I mean, I think like he just knocked it out of the park when everybody else was really minimal and painting squares. So like he was going back to the figure and making that significant.
Yeah.
One thing that I always thought was significant was that Bacon, in some of his interviews with David Sylvester, claimed that rather than making narrative painting, his intention was to shut down any sort of narrative interpretation of his work in favor of a kind of more immediate imagery that acts, as he put it, on the nervous system rather than on the eye, a more sensation rather than anything visual. And of course, Bacon was also a pathological liar, so take that with a grain of salt.
Well, it could be both. I mean, I think actually it's amazing. Like you could have like this very you can't have to be very visceral like this horror. Because like where do you go with that horror?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, yeah. I mean, I love that. Even if it's a lie, I love it. You can just pull that like out of your hat. Like, that's great. That's pretty good.
There's also a theatricality in the way in which these sort of arenas or stage sets, the figures kind of inhabit them like characters on the stage. And I get that same kind of feeling from these three as well. They're being acted out on the set.
Yeah, like this like feels like, I mean, it feels like she's alone, right? But like, she got her leg up like that. Like it does look like she's kind of like either watched, like she's like looking at someone and she's like just, there is kind of this weird thing where it's like, I can see that like a theatricality, even if it's not necessarily like literally being on the stage. There's a sense of like who's watching, who's being seen, there's a performative element for sure. And for this, for sure, there's some kind of theatrical performative element, although it's not meant to be like, she's not like, I mean, this isn't meant to be like a burlesque dancer or something like that, but like, you do have like that sense that, there's a possibility with more like a comedy tricks and things like that. Any other questions or?
Well, the piece, I'm not sure how well you can see it, the one in the corner here. It's also a literary reference as well, Baudelaire and Fleur de Mal.
Yeah, and like I had some poems printed out, thinking reading them, and he was like, well, maybe if you're desperate, you can read these poems. But there was like, there are poems that reference like, this one's called Strawberry Fields, and there's poems that reference like strawberry lips and all sorts of things. And his work is very dark and sexual as well. So all these, I mean, it's another, the kind of dark sexual vibe that kind of goes through. Like some of them do seem like innocent or have like that kind of aspect, but in some there is, it's kind of like a shamelessness. I think is what like a kind of immodesty tinged with a little bit of darkness.
And that brings that kind of theatricality that you were talking about, that brings the viewer into that scenario as well. Because you're kind of the voyeur in that, or not necessarily a voyeur, but she's definitely in front of you.
Right.
Doing whatever it is she's doing.
Yeah.
Like a kind of a Olympia, like a Magne's Olympia.
That's interesting. Maybe I need to like do some
Did you see the Max Beckman show at the Met?
Yeah.
Yeah, like his triptychs.
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, like there's so like his school days,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, and like with your style and getting that vibe, you know, that.
Oh, yeah, like this kind of like refuse, yeah.
Like maybe like a lot more triptychs, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
interrelated
I mean, you know,
things.
that's a good, like, I mean, that plays into the narrative, like, that's a good point. These became not accidental, because they do, they were all, these three were made, but it would be interesting to, you know, moving forward, think about, you know, doing a triptych.
Yeah, I like interrelated. I just really liked his, you know, interrelated paintings, like in that different, more loose style.
Right. I like that edginess of his work.
Yeah, like and there's lots of references. I think it'd be, you know, it's good, you know, with figurative art to like try to, you know, like Rembrandt, I think, and Caravaggio always like told a story, you know, told a story with the references, like your Baudelaire reference and everything. I think that's like an old tradition in painting, you know, like that I find really interesting. Reading the painting and reading the reference, and then like you know, like poetry like gives you an image by you know.
Martin Hartley is another one that I look at a lot, and I love the like the poetic aspect of this. With painting, it's like this it's like poetics where it refuses to make literal sense, so that it's not as efficient as possible. So you know that space of inefficiency, I think, is where it's really.
That's where the beauty, you know, the beauty is, in, you know, conveying an idea with like with an ephemeral thought.
Yeah.
You know, or like Tom Robbins, like the way he writes. You know.
Oh yeah, Jerry Bunker him and all that. Yeah.
He uses it's hard to explain. But he makes you understand what he's getting at with all this weird nonsense.
And it just like sticks in your head.
Yeah, when he discovered that, he must have just been very, very like, yes. No, the work is really great, and I really like the ones that are built up. I kind of miss that big texture, you know, when I don't see that in the other paintings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
I really do like the roughness. I think it adds like, you know, a lot to the work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just sort of I mean, these are sort of opposite walls. The lightness of I guess it's acrylic, probably.
Mm-hmm.
The quickness, the lightness, goes right along with the subject matter, which feels actually not dark at all to me, at least.
Right.
And you know, there's an element of humor, maybe comedy, a little bit, but also, you know, that one. There are a whole bunch of things they're trying to do at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
You know, she's touching penis flowers, and you know, it's like eating cake, and you know, it's humorous.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, these are.
So that and the lightness of the materials to me goes along with it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think like for me, like I don't want to just be like you don't want to necessarily you don't want to be like cornered into like a one trick pony kind of thing. Like I like having like different things happening. Like you know, I like the fact that these are lighter. And then these are like have like the texture, and like you could be dark one minute and humorous the other minute. I think that's because that's life. Like we're not like all like unless we're goth people. Like, you know, we're not all just wearing black all the time.
No, I agree. I think having dichotomy in your work is really important.
Yeah, no, but I appreciate that because we've been together. Like we were in a crit club for a long time.
Yeah.
So like you've like seen my work over years. So like I really appreciate.
Well, because I remember you were at your crisis point. You were like, I have this show and I don't know which way I want to go. Do I go abstract or do I go just more figurative? Yeah, and you came to the club, and I mean you found your own way. You didn't.
Right. But you know, like it was great to have that. To have a sounding board.
But it's been great to see you attack, just like latch on to a really powerful symbol that just bore a lot of fruit. I think the still life, the penis flower still lives are just awesome.
Yeah.
Really great. And this this painting reminds me of like that kind of darker purple abstract piece that you brought to the, you know.
And it's funny how like you can see some of that, like, yeah, there's all this. I mean, and you know, like some of them, you know, like that one in front, like, you know, what I had, because I really wanted to bring in the one with the confetti, the one that's called confetti with the red boots. You know, I had really wanted to bring more of an abstract element, so what I did was like I started out with like an abstract painting, and then I deleted and then put in the figured in. But I really want this kind of melding of abstraction and especially the nonsensical, like the aspect where you can bring in something and it would work, but it would not, it would visually, emotionally, I love it when it emotionally makes sense, but then it doesn't necessarily, like, it's not literal. Because we have so much literal crap in our world anyways, we need some of that.
No, I think art, that's what art should be, you know, it's gotta be, you know, it's like poetry. You're using imagery to create, you know, a thought in someone's head or an experience, you know, when they see.
Or to make thoughts, like, you know, that's what I like, is like, you know, like where you don't have this, you don't really know what it is that you're trying, like you may have like a glimmer of what you see, but then you actually see through the pain, or you can think through the pain. I think that's what a lot of writers do, like they may not even, like if you're like writing a nasty letter to, or you're like pissed off your boyfriend and you're writing an email to them, or texting him, and you don't really know how you feel until you're actually getting it out. Just yelling it, like, you know what I mean? Like there's this element where the thinking happens through the actual making.
Yeah, the plastic process or whatever.
Right.
You know, like that's the most exciting part of making art to me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, besides succeeding, you know, to create.
It's all part of one thing, like, you know, that feeling that ends up emerging out is part of whether it succeeds or not.
With a few exceptions, a lot of these, the protagonists are kind of wondering what they're doing. I mean, especially in these two, they're kind of dissociated from each other. And they're kind of like, not so much the woman in that one, but certainly the guy, wondering like, or there's not a lot of interaction or intent in something like this, like, what am I doing here kind of thing. But in the ones where the leg is up, and in the solo, like that one in the back of you, and in that one over there, there's a lot of action, like, I know what I'm doing something, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm doing, there's purpose. But in some of the others, it feels like they find themselves in these situations, and that's one part of the humor is that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think it wouldn't be as funny at all if that wasn't, at least around.
But it would be more sentimental, or it would be more.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know those, it just remind, you know the old Booth cartoons of the dogs and the cats sitting on the New Yorker. There are these dogs and these cats, I don't know if it's Booth, it might have been somebody else. Dogs and cats sitting on the ground, sort of staring out, you know, at each other without.
Yeah, like sitting on the back of the bed, kind of.
I don't know if you know one of those cartoons, but
Yeah.
they were in New York for a long time. I wasn't, it was someone else. I don't know if that's just my reading of it. I think it makes it funny.
Yeah, like I mean, with the relationship kind of things, like those kind of, you know, there's so much awkwardness, and that was kind of capture that.
You sure did.
Yeah.
And maybe that interpretation of, you know, the figures not really knowing why they're there or how they got there or what exactly they're going to be doing next. And that's sort of allegorical for the painting process in general. You know, not exactly having a goal in mind, but not knowing exactly how you're going to end up getting there. Maybe you'll take a detour and the painting will come up completely different.
Yeah.
What's the most recent painting? The one that you finished last?
It was that one, that black one.
Yeah, I really love the boots.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, And I think the black backgrounds are so successful with the fluorescent paint because, you know, like a dark background really you know, like,
Yeah, like that,
you know, the color is very vibrant.
Yeah.
The white steals a lot of the energy of everything around it, you know, but when you know, like a Caravaggio, you know, like the black background with the red, you
Yeah, I
know,
love
like
Caravaggio.
very, very powerful, you know, and with that one, the boot, like her boot is just crazy.
I was thinking, I had a whole conversation with Rosa. We were talking about fuck me boots, and I was trying to capture.
Yeah.
I was trying to animate fuck me boot.
Well, success.
Yeah.
They're like those Gaga shoes. They're like,
Oh yes. I like keep like looking every time like I'm like in the subway or I'm anywhere like I like look at like at the Nordstrom rack whatever like I'm like Gaga owning like someone's boots and I was like I saw like these silver I was like it's gonna be awkward if I start taking pictures I was like I want to paint that I was like the Hugo Boss boots I think they're like $300 if I need it for my painting.
Rationalization, but whatever.
Yeah.
but I like all those little details in your paintings. Like, I think they add so much to the experience of them. Like the little slice of cake there. You know, there's like the salt and pepper shakers in that one. You know, this idea of like the unicorn horn alluding to like more phallic objects in the space. So I think there's this like nice sort of playfulness.
Yeah.
Which I
Which I you know like I was so I mean with abstraction and I love abstraction but the thing that I kept going around in circles I was so obsessed with being good like being this good artist good painter and it kind of was inhibiting and I think it held me back and so I think partly because it was not been my ambition to be a figurative artist it was like there was something freeing about being like I'm not attached to how like this figure turns out because it wasn't my original ambition. So there was something liberating about doing, like going in that direction, and playfulness because it's like the objective isn't like to get the perfect abstract. Like it's like trying to like you just keep going around in circles and you can't. I mean, there's a lot of abstract and who knows what will happen. I'm not like saying. Well, I will never become this kind of artist because I feel like you have to be open to everything. But yeah, it was really like it was cool to be able to bring all those things in.
So, what's your definition of a perfect artist? Like you said, you want to be a good artist. What's a good artist mean to you, and where do you see yourself being there, or are you there, or what is that?
I feel like a good artist is constantly evolving, or you know, like they're growing. So I want to grow as much as possible as an artist. So I think like that is, and there's
So do you have like a benchmark that okay, when I do this, I'm a good artist. So what
well,
will
you
lead
know,
you
my
to that?
benchmarks are so far, like they're, you know, we have benchmarks that like will never, you know, like they're in the stratosphere. So, but you know, like okay, this is sound popular culture reference. But I think like, but it's so like, it made so much sense to me. But Lizzo, who is actually classically trained, so it's not as fluffy as it sounds. But she was talking about how like she became like a tuning fork, and I love that image of like the artist as a tuning fork. Like she is so like, can just, you know, like her body and herself is she can, there are things that she can hear and be sensitive to because it is, I think that's what becoming an artist is becoming more and more sensitive and evolving through that sensitivity. So there isn't like a, we all want to be like Francis Bacon, but you know, like to be like, oh, I want to be Francis Bacon, like it's not going to happen. Or who knows, you know, like if I live to maybe 150 or God knows. But you know, like it's not, that, but like to me, like I think of it more in terms of like evolving, in terms of like that kind of thing.
The Carrie James Marshall show just a couple of years ago at the Met.
Yeah, and I saw at the Met Brewer.
Yeah.
I saw him talk too, and he was so interesting.
He's so good, but some of your lines,
Uh-huh.
your drawing lines with the bold black,
Yeah.
remind me of this
it was an interior, and there was one part where there was a glass that was sitting on a table, and it had this super crazy black line
Oh, I love that.
described in the glass.
Yeah.
And there was a yellow liquid in it, and then there was a yellow dog under the table.
Oh,
And it was
cool.
just such a surprising
Yeah.
move. Like all his paint chops are so good, but like some of your line work is reminding me of that.
Oh, that's interesting.
That painting in particular is so good with these blocks of color, especially in that one with the green.
This isn't exactly Boulder, but like I saw the Amy Sherrill show and like that
Yes.
precision of line and color, and I mean it's so, it like makes the painting so good, where they could be just like these like boring portraits, like who paints these portraits and they're obsessed with them, but like there was like this one where she had these earrings on, like little yellow telephone earrings, and one was like positioned one way or the other. And like said that little detail, I was like totally knocked out by it. I was like, wow, but it made the person seem so much more like you could really relate to that person. Like you felt like that person was like a real, like you knew that person.
For sure.
Yeah.
That show too, the less is more idea, like where
You're
she
right.
doesn't describe, she's telling you that this dress wraps around his body, but it's still, even as you look at it for a while, you can't figure out like how did she do that? It's so subtle.
She's so good.
But you're getting that with like the blocks of color, the way you're pushing the figure out, like in and out too.
And I think there's something, like, maybe it's like cooking, like, you can't, like, if you, not everything, like, you're gonna make a really great dish, like, it's not gonna necessarily, like, there's a recipe, but, like, whatever is not part of the recipe is probably what's making it be what it is. And, like, it's, like, so fluid, that kind of, that mitigating, so that, yeah, I think, yeah. I think that's good. Anyone else have any questions? Thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it.